Everybody, come on!
So the first one is Tufani. She is the sister of the new giraffe Hasani's mother Olivia, and this is Dave, the father.
Sneaky door.
She does not like the looks of us, and I don't blame her.
And if you guys want to do any interviews, we have our curator on.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. I'll look.
Like, I want to go inside too. Yeah, the girls won't actually, we call it a transfer shoot, the girls, so they don't like it. So, and giraffes are made of sugar, so they think that they melt in the rain. So, we like to give them the option to be undercover. So, basically, yeah, right? So we like to give them some, yeah. Oh yeah, that'd be great. What fun.
Talk to us about the baby.
Certainly. So on May 2nd, we had a male giraffe born here at Woodland Park Zoo. The birth was very normal, and we saw very positive signs that his mom, Olivia, was going to be a good mom. However, when we watched the calf attempt to get up, we noticed that his back rear legs had an abnormality. He was actually not able to flex his rear legs, both hooves, in normal position. So we call that a hyperextension of a flexor tendon on his back legs. And so we realized right away that we were going to have to help him in some way. So our veterinarians stepped in and we wrapped those back legs in bandages. As we also at the same time we started consulting with other veterinarians across the country, as well as equine veterinarians, equine as in horses. And so after talking to several folks locally and even across the country, we came up with a plan that we implemented. And the video that you guys have shows our young male, who we've named Hasani, which means handsome. And so what we have are two aluminum plates that serve as shoes for him that help extend those flexor tendons in the right position. Today is the first time we've actually been outside to get him more exercise, which is also part of his treatment.
Were you surprised to see him dancing around?
That's normal. That's normal behavior. I mean, it was a very positive sign to see him behaving just like we would expect a kid giraffe to behave. The running, the jumping, and all of that. So that's a good sign for us. Means that he's not in any discomfort with his abnormality or with the treatment that we're using on him. So we're very optimistic that our treatment plan is going to be successful. But we're still going to have to keep him in guarded condition until we know more. We expect that our treatment will continue for up to 3 months, but again, there's a good chance that it could resolve in less time.
So, Martin, how are you gauging the progress on that treatment so far?
So the way we're doing it is just kind of observations and watching the way his tendons are developing. Because he's so young, he's still a lot of growing to do. We do expect the muscles and the tendons in that area to get stronger. And so, again, the way he's positioned now will help those tendons and muscles grow stronger. He does have, and you'll see it on your images, that he does have some KT tape, some kinesiology tape, which actually also helps stretch the tendons and muscles in that area. And so we'll have to replace those on a weekly basis, but we're hoping that the shoes that he has on will remain intact for quite some time.
Can you tell us a little more about the origin of the shoes?
Yeah, so the shoe that you see on him actually was directly recommended by an equine veterinarian from Kentucky, who worked very closely with horses in that area. As you all know, Kentucky's big into horse racing and horse breeding. So these guys just happened to be in town for a big farrier conference, which is the fitting of shoes on horses, and we made aware of their visit. We brought them in. About 4 or 5 of them came out here one evening, looked at this guy, and said, "Oh yeah, we've seen that before. Easy to fix." Now that's with horses, so we wanted to make sure that what they were telling us would translate to giraffe, and that's where we're at now. I will also add that there was another giraffe in a zoo in Kansas that also had a similar abnormality, and after 3 months, that abnormality resolved itself. So we're very optimistic about the outcome for this fellow.
How often will you have to change out the shoes?
Well, as of right now, we're hoping that the only time we have to change him is as he grows bigger. And so just like us, right, we outgrow our shoes, it's time for a new pair, and that's what we're hoping we have to do with him. He is a giraffe, long legs, heavy, powerful legs, so we need to be really careful that when we do that we're all safe. We're going to try not to use any anesthesia or anything like that. So the keepers will be working with him to get him accustomed to us working closely with him. But again, he's a big guy. He's going to get bigger. Right now he weighs 180 pounds. And he's probably going to start doubling his weight here in the next couple of weeks. So, and his height as well.
So with that in mind, how did he respond when you first put the shoes on him? Because he looks like he's doing pretty well with them now.
Yeah, so when we first put the shoes on him, we actually tried a wooden version of what you see now, and we watched him very closely for the next 24 hours, even staying overnight, just to make sure that he was able to get up and lie down with those new shoes on, and also that he was able to nurse, successfully with his mom, and we saw right away that he adjusted really quickly to those shoes. Now it's just a matter of him adjusting to the weight of the shoes, and these are a lot lighter. Yeah.
You mentioned his mother quite a bit.
Yeah.
She plays a pretty big part in his healing, correct?
She is. Now, obviously she's providing all the nutrition that he needs to grow faster. But yeah, she needs to cooperate in that when we do have to pull him away from her treatment, she needs to just be okay with that. And she's learning that when we do that, she gets a lot of treats, a lot of special attention. So, but she's a very protective mother, and she doesn't give him up easily. But perhaps she understands that we're trying to do well by him.
What's her name?
Olivia is her name, and she's a 12-year-old, and this is her second calf. Her first calf with the male that we currently have, Dave. Yeah.
How many is this for Dave?
This is actually his second offspring. Both of them have been here, so he gave birth to, or not gave birth. He was the father of Lulu, the female that we had here before years ago, born to Tufani, the other female in there.
Yeah, if Dave's giving birth, I guarantee you we'll all be back.
I know, right. Birth, fathering, whatever, it's all the same for us. But anyway, so these guys, over the course of the next few days, we will have them out for our guests to see. However, it'll need to be intermittently, mainly because we still want to make sure that the bond between mom and calf still needs to be very strong. And so we need to give them some private time as well. And so that's why they'll be outside for part of the day. If they do choose to go back into the barn where they can have a little solitude, a little peace and quiet, they can do that, and that's fine. And so that'll be our plan with these guys going forward. And then, of course, anytime our veterinarians need to recheck his bandages or his shoes.
Is there a rough schedule for when they'll be out?
Well, as I said, after today, they'll be out or have the ability to go outside into the exhibit behind me pretty much 7 days a week, again, dependent on weather. Eventually, at some point, we do want to get to a place where we're able to move him out to our bigger exhibit on the savannah, which would give him a lot more space. And again, it's just all going to depend on how well he adjusts to his shoes. And then we also have to introduce him to all the other animals in the savannah, the zebra, the ostrich, and other animals. So fun times ahead, and like I said, we're very optimistic about the long-term success of this animal.
How do you do that introduction process?
So out on the savannah, we actually, it's all happening right now. First, we need to introduce him to all of his aunt and his dad in here, and then very gradually they get to see the gazelles in the savannah, and then the zebra, and it's just a matter of just getting them out there and letting them all see each other.
The history of his name, Wisconsin's out here, how did he come about it?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So the question was about his name. And so, I have to tell you, when we first were talking about a possible name for him, some of us tended to gravitate towards, a shoe or legs or something related to his abnormality, but we realized that we didn't want him to have that identity, all his life for something that was just going to be a short-term, issue with him. And so we chose a name that indicated, like I said, his good looks. Some might say they named him after me. I don't know. Handsome. Just joking. But so that's how we came to decide on that name. It's a great name and rolls off the tongue really well. And also there is a connection to his history. Dave's father's name is Hasani. Dave the giraffe. Yeah.
Where did they all come from?
So all of our giraffe here at the zoo were born in other zoos across the country. Dave in particular, the father, came to us from the Brookfield Zoo in Chicago. And then the two females in here actually were born at Dickerson Park Zoo in Missouri. And so, again, the breeding of the females here is to help the population of giraffe across North America. And then to help us tell those conservation stories. Because believe it or not, giraffe are one of the species in Africa that are disappearing very quickly. They're one of the more iconic species, and so they're often overlooked as being threatened or endangered, but they are rapidly disappearing in Africa in the home range, and so it's unfortunate. And so this gives us an opportunity to tell those conservation stories.
What do we know about their wild population?
So, as I said, they're dwindling. Now, giraffe are found pretty much throughout Africa, and so there's giraffe species in South Africa that are doing well. East African subspecies are somewhat threatened, and then if you go further north into Africa, those species have become more endangered, mainly because of political strife and habitat destruction and all that.
How many does Hasani make being born here?
That's a good question. I know just in the last 10 years, we've actually had 3 calves born here. This exhibit was first put together back in the 80s, and I believe we did have calves born way back then as well. But just with this group here we have currently, he's the 3rd one.
Do you know how long he'll stay at the zoo, or might he move for future breeding?
So one of the things that we have to consider with him is his overall health. We want to make sure that his condition is completely resolved before he becomes part of any breeding plans for other zoos. But typically, a male giraffe would only live with a herd of giraffe, or with the mother in particular, until they're about 3 or 4 years old. And so we may have to consider what we're going to do with him at that point. We wouldn't be breeding these animals if we didn't feel like we'd be able to find a home for them in the near future. And again, giraffe are very popular in zoos, and so like the female before, it wasn't very difficult for us to place them in a new family.
Thanks, Martin.
All right, thank you, Jan. Now I'm going to get all these cables tangled up in the rocks.
And as promised, I can never take a trip to Woodland Park Zoo without stopping to see my friends in the penguin tank. What's up, buddy?
Oh, wait, go. Oh no, run away. Nào chứ.
Look at the football.
He fell down. Oh, look, there's like a little red thing over there. Look at that one pink one here. He's like, he's doing. Oh, look at that one. That one's so cool. Yeah, that one's like the biggest. That one's like the biggest. See, look at that one.
I like watching them swim.
That was like near a teeth. Yeah, that's cool. Can you see what it looks like? Like if I look underwater. Whoa, if I look underwater, look. Oh, that's so cool. Look, I can.
What's up, buddy?
I would say that's it. Look under the water. That's what it looks like. The tags are like so they know what she's doing. Yeah, let's go to the beach. You need to stay with me. No, I'm not that.
He's gone. Go. Well, hey guys.
What did he say?
So I'm still by the penguin tank. This guy might be lost because he's not a penguin. But he is a mallard with a pretty purplish blue color on his head. Thankfully, these guys don't mind a guest or two. And they do have two.
Come over here.
Because this guy's hanging out too.
Stand on this wall. Let's go
Oh, there's one on the ground eating.
Oh, he's underwater. Wow.
He's not getting stuff to eat.
Ryan.
He's coming towards us. I saw one. They're fighting over food. Oh, look! One's right near us.
If that was the last ice
That's
cream
a
bar, my
rock.
kids would fight over it too.
That's a rock, guys. That's a rock. Look at them. They're right next. They're fighting over a rock. They're right next to
My
it.
kids have fought over rocks too. They fought over
remember
mud.
the wood chipper? Look at this.
In the wood chip?
They're right next to it.
For you.
You could see it. Guys, where are the bears now?
There.
Okay, let's head that way. And I want to eat. Guys, let's eat on the boat, guys.
Look, he's right there.
I'm a penguin.
Ryan, do you see the penguins?